So the learning this week is in memory of Theo's mother. And so I wanted to show you the sources of the ninth blessing of the Amidah, and then we'll delve a little bit more into that. So in Bereshit 27:28, when Isaac gives the blessing to Yaakov instead of to Esav, he has very slight differences in the words, and so Rashi learns from that that is about the relationship between the Jewish people and God, and as opposed to the non-Jewish people. So he said, "Veiten lecha Elohim mital shamayim shmonei haaretz." So tal shamayim is the dew of heaven, v'rov dagan v'tirosh, and abundance of grain and wine. And Rashi explains that Veiten, if it doesn't go so far up, therefore God gives, may he give thee and give thee repeatedly. However, according to its real meaning, it must be connected with the preceding statement, vis-a-vis with the words, see the smell of my son, which the Holy One, blessed be he, has given him like the smell of the field, and may he also give thee the dew of heaven. But Rashi is basically trying to tell us, and this is, he has a second Rashi, why does it say Elohim in his blessing and not in Esav's blessing? So he says, what denotes the use here of the divine name Elohim, which signifies God in his attributes of justice? May he act in justice. If you are worthy of it, meaning of the rain, may he give it to you, and if not, let him not give it to you. But to Esav he said, the fat places of the earth shall be thy dwelling, whether you are righteous or wicked. He will give you this from him. From Isaac, Solomon learned when he built the temple how to compose his prayer, specifically about the Israelites and about the non-Israelites. So let's scroll down to that. It's 4 verses basically. You should listen to the supplication of your servant and the people of Israel when they pray to this place. And what shall you give them? And a few verses later, you'll listen from your abode, and you're going to forgive them and give the person based on his ways, based on his righteousness, if he is worthy of receiving the rain or not. The non-Jews, so even if a non-Jew or foreigner comes to the temple, you'll listen the same exact words of listening from your abode, anything that he asks for. So the asking for the rain is the special relationship that the Jewish people have with Hashem, and if we are not worthy, Hashem doesn't give us rain. The reason why that's a better blessing is because it means that we have a relationship with our Father in heaven, and the non-Jews don't have that kind of relationship. They are either servants or don't believe in him or all kinds of other options. But so whenever they ask for something, Hashem will fulfill it immediately in order for all the people of the world to fear you like the people of Israel, to know that your name is called in this place. So that's the background for the prayer for the rain. And one more thing, there's a bunch of verses that are repeated about the phrase Al Pnei Adama, and half of them are good and half of them are not good. So just go back to the top. So he talks about the Mabul. He talks about Moses praying to not annihilate the Jews, and specifically in 2 weeks ago's parsha, the Yerauti Kolayim Sherhem Chayim Al Adama. Okay, so Al Pnei Adama can be used for either positive or negative, and the most important, in my opinion, is the one that Elijah had a vision, and Hashem said to him, but in the 3rd year, meaning the 3rd year of the drought, Lech Achav, go see Achav, King Ahab, Ve'etna matar al pnei adama, and I will give the rain on the face of the earth. And so that's even connecting the word matar, rain, to our specific study and topic. So now there aren't major differences between Ashkenaz and Sfard, but there are major differences between Ashkenaz and Sfaradi. So So Ashkenaz, Barech Alenu Adonai Tashina Azod Vet Kormei Tvata. So bless this year and all of the varieties of its produce for good, and bestow. We add in the summer bracha, and in the winter tal matar li bracha. So I just skipped that, and then it says al pnei adama, that phrase that we just learned. So the major difference here is between that Sfard adds a few more words after this idea of sabenu mitovecha, but this is very, very basic, and like we talked about a few times before, Ashkenaz doesn't add too much emotion to the language of the prayer. So here in Sephard, uvarech shnotenu kashnim tovot livracha, which sounds like it's redundant because you're going to bless our future years, as opposed to Ashkenaz, which is this year, like the good years for blessing, because you are Tova Metiv Atal Mevarach Hashem, because you are the one who always bestows goodness and blesses the years. Just before we continue, there's a story from, I'm not sure when, but it's a Hasidic story about this guy who was praying Mevarach Hanashim, which is women. And so a Hasidic master found out about it, and he was trying to teach him to change it. And then that night he had a vision that Hashem listens to this guy's prayer because he honestly doesn't know that we're supposed to say Shanim and not Nashim. And so he listens specifically to bless all the women in their midst. So the reason why Baruchenu for Dota Mizrach and also in the Ashkenaz inspired is longer is because the summer months are longer. Whether we start on Zayin Cheshvan and end on the 16th of Nisan, or if we start on the 5th of December, for sure, the winter season is much shorter. So the more often we're going to say the blessing for the summer. So in the Sephardi, it's completely different blessing. So bless us with all of our handiwork. So do that is of your will and your blessing and even contribution. And let it end also with Chaim v'Sava v'Shalom Kashim Tovot. So every single day, 3 times a day, if we say this, it is progressing to the end of the year. And I think that that's something that maybe we're missing in Ashkenaz, but they're basically saying that we hope that this year will be full of beautiful days in terms of the weather, in terms of what we need, in terms of our sustenance. And in the winter, we say, "V'ten tal matar lebracha," even though tal is not necessarily winter if it's raining, we still have to say that. So going back to Solomon's prayer, Sfaradim not only pray for us, for the people of Israel and for the land of Israel, but they pray also for the whole universe or for the whole planet Earth, that your goodness will be filled, and they will realize that it's from you. And so keep us from all bad things and from all even wild beasts. So this is full of emotion of asking God to be compassionate, and even if we're not listening to Hashem and doing everything that Hashem wants us to do, still bless us with that. So I think we went a little bit over time for blessing number 10. We can learn that tomorrow. So let's just go read the English for this blessing for the winter. And bless for us, Lord our God, this year and all types of its produce for good, and provide dew and rain for blessing on the entire face of the land, al pnei adama, and quench the face of the earth, and satiate the entire world with your good, and fill our hands from your blessing and the wealth of the gifts of your hands. And so this reminds us of a prayer that the Kohen Gadol would say on Yom Kippur only once a year. When he was in the Holy of Holies, he would pray for the parnasa, for the sustenance of the Jewish people. And he specifically said, may the people of Israel not need or want, meaning like want from the idea of lacking, not want another Jew to help them make a living, and also not from another nation. So we realize that we have to have commerce relationships with other nations, but we want you to make it available that we won't really need it. We just do it in order to strengthen our position and our kingdom, like Solomon did. And so we'll stop here and we'll continue tomorrow with lesson number 10.